If you have ongoing exposure to controlling people, it's a virtual certainty that you're going to experience blurry boundaries, which is why I've created the extensive online course called This Is Me, Establishing Boundaries with the Controllers in Your Life. There's a link below that will give you all of the details, and I hope that you would find it therapeutic. I want you to think about the many times that you've been with a narcissist and you realize that the way they portray themselves on the outside is not at all consistent with what you see behind the scenes. And you recognize that narcissists tend to contradict themselves many, many times over in the way that they engage with people. They can be one way over here, but entirely different over there. They lie to themselves very easily. Now, as a simple example, I remember one person saying that there's a narcissist that was in her life, and this narcissist would just say things like, I had such a wonderful childhood. And she would talk to me privately and say, you have no idea what his family of origin was like. It was just constant chaos. And there was so much anger and tension, and yet this guy's out there saying, I had a wonderful childhood. And there's this contradiction going on. Or it may be that I have another person that said that he would just point blank say, well, if you just watch how I do things, I treat people right. And this person who is making that observation would be like, well, on the surface, you might be friendly and congenial, but when you say you treat people right, it's as long as they do what you want. But then behind the scenes, I know that you don't treat people right. You're very caustic, and you can be very difficult to get along with because everything has to go your way, and yet they try to portray themselves as something quite different. I want to point out to you 7 of the most common contradictions that you can see that are highly predictable that narcissists will enter into. And as I go through these, I want you to think, how many times have you been exposed to these? One of the first contradictions that narcissists can display is that they'll want to imply, I'm worthy of your trust. Now, obviously, trust is one of the bedrock foundational ingredients for a healthy relationship. But then when you look at narcissists, it's like, okay, you're trying to make it seem like you're worthy of my trust, but you don't reveal a whole lot. And you keep secrets. And you talk about other individuals behind their back. And I know that you don't maintain confidentiality very well. And then the more you're with these people, when they imply, I'm worthy of being trusted, you begin realizing, I think I'm going to be next, if I'm not already next, because they're going to treat me in this disdainful way. They're not trustworthy, but they want to give the appearance that they are. Or a second one, and this is extremely common, a second way they contradict themselves is they'll say, I'm an appealing person. People really admire me. Now, what that says is typically they operate with a great deal of superficiality. In other words, they know how to work an audience. When they say I'm an appealing person, basically it's a cover-up. In their way of doing things, shallow patterns are very common. They have a history of covering up their blunders, and they try to give the appearance that, oh, you would be so fortunate to have me as a friend or an ally or a coworker, when in fact, no, behind the scenes, you're incredibly difficult, or you're moody, or you're erratic. But they want to give the appearance of otherwise. A third very common contradiction that we can predict with narcissists is they can give the impression that you'd be a better person if you just took my advice. Have you ever noticed that narcissists are very free with giving advice that you didn't ask for? And we have a word for that. It's called criticism. Narcissists can be very superimposing. So when they say that you would be better off if you just took the advice that I had to give you, the implication is, look, All I want is control, and I'm very happy to be the one that's totally in control. And they have no appreciation for the fact that seeming to be this, helpful advisor is merely a way of them dismissing you. They don't see the inconsistency there. A fourth, very common, predictable contradiction that narcissists run around with is they may say something like, in my life, I've overcome lots of obstacles. It may be that they're aware that there have been some problems or failures, or they've been around difficult people, and so they don't want to let anybody know that they hurt or that they sweat or that they still have the after effects of those kind of situations. So what they do is they declare themselves to be healed, and they declare themselves to be, just fine and dandy no matter what the past has done to them. But you'll also notice that they're masters at blame shifting. For example, if they've had difficult relationships, well, I've overcome those obstacles like that. No, what they do is they just learn how to blame other individuals, and they really don't learn from their experiences, but they declare themselves to be the picture of wholeness when in fact, no, they're carrying quite a bit of woundedness on the inside. Now, another one, and this is one that I've heard many times, this is the fifth one that just kind of knocks me over when I hear it from people that I know otherwise. Many narcissists will say things like, I don't really have anger issues. Now, in real time, they can be agitated and irritable, and sometimes they rage. And then they'll have the audacity, though, of coming back and saying, well, I don't have anger issues. If I do, it's frustration, and somehow that makes it not anger, it's just a muffled form of anger. They try to present themselves as calm, cool, and collected, and if they did blow or if they did get exposed for having grudges, they'll say, well, yeah, but it was the circumstances, and it was your fault or someone else's fault under normal circumstances. I don't have those kind of problems, even though they criticize people left and right. And criticism is a very easy giveaway for a person that's sitting on a lot of anger. In addition, a sixth way that they contradict themselves is they may say something like, I've done so many nice things for you. Now, when they say that, what that typically implies with the narcissist is they're scoreboarders. They may have done you a favor or got you a gift or helped you out with a project, and they may have done some things that would be deemed as being considerate. And yet, behind the scenes, it's like, now, you owe me. What are you going to do for me? And so when they say they've done many nice things for you, what they're really illustrating is, I feel like I'm an entitled person. You need to do all sorts of nice things for me because I've earned it, and you have to give me whatever it is I want. And then it negates the meaning of niceness for them. And then a seventh one, and this is another one that I shake my head with, the way they contradict themselves. They may actually say or imply, I'm a person who has quite a bit of depth. And they may try to portray themselves as somebody that thinks real deeply or has great awareness and insight. And it either illustrates that they're just into wishful thinking, or if they do have certain intellectualizations, it's just that, intellectualization. It doesn't filter down into the real heart level. Basically, whatever they say they know and they understand about life doesn't translate into character development. So you can see that there are these predictable ways that narcissists will contradict themselves, and it actually reveals quite a bit about who they are and what they carry on the inside. For example, their predictable contradictions imply, or it reveals that they have an absence of insight. It's kind of like they say, they think to themselves, if I say something is true, then it is. And it's not really attached to real deep roots, but they just declare it. They're masters of posturing, and that actually is one of their greatest skills, if you want to call it that. they're quite inclined towards suppressing anger, at least for a while, but then it comes back around as they're very willing to be condescending, and the more condescending they are, the more it implies that they have a contempt, which is a form of anger, and so they can try to suppress their anger, but they can't contain it, and so they're a walking time bomb from the inside out. In addition, it reveals that they're masters of self-promotion. It's all about appearances as opposed to character. External measurements are what matters to them most. The internal character development is not strong. They're skilled at compartmentalization. In other words, if there's certain things that they don't want people to know, they just put it over here in that closet and nobody's going to know about it until it gets discovered, or until people that are around them enough just can see it for what it is. So let's just say narcissists really are going to contradict themselves left and right. And what's worse, when you call them out on their contradictions, it's your fault. So I do hold on to the notion that says truth does have a way of rising to the surface over time. Not everyone is going to see the truth in a narcissist in the way that you do, especially if you see that narcissist in a very clear kind of way. You know what's behind the curtain, so to speak. But the fact is, you can see it and you can make adjustments accordingly. As the narcissist clings to their contradictions, I'm hoping there will be a thought where you actually begin thinking to yourself, it's true that this narcissist does not prioritize honesty, beginning with themselves and then extending towards me. And that being the case, I'm going to make my adjustments accordingly. Honesty is something that they've missed, but it's something for you and for me here on Team Healthy is an essential. Now, I hope that videos such as this give you some good things to think about. Gus just jumped off the couch. He's laying right down here next to me. Just kind of finds a new place to sleep. Hang in there with Gus. Yeah, he's my boy. Anyway, if you've not already subscribed, I would encourage you to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell that goes along with it. I know that when you are dealing with these contradictory narcissists, it might be that you would find a need for psychotherapy. And if that's the need, then we are sponsored by the people at BetterHelp.com. It's an online therapy service, and I'm so pleased that they sponsor us. There's a link below if you have the need that can take you to their website, and you would be introduced to a whole team of licensed professional therapists. If that would be a need, I would strongly encourage you to seek that out. In addition, I have my therapeutic courses with multiple videos per course, and then written materials along with it, along with questions that will guide you in a therapeutic healing way. Ready, Set, Connect, about making healthy connections. This is me, about establishing boundaries. Free to Be, about finding yourself despite the controllers. We now have a new podcast, so check that out. In addition, we have my books and other resources. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey in these many different ways. Okay. Narcissists are walking contradictions. They want to portray themselves as one thing when in fact you see behind the scenes. Rather than feeling that it's your need to, or it's your task to bring them to a place of clarity where they're just not going to go, I'm hoping you can focus instead on you having that healthy character development, because as you're able to live inside dignity, respect, and civility like we do here on Team Healthy, then that will allow you to become a person of peace.